Well, and so again, your friendly local constitutional coop from California, and I want to bring to your attention a rare bit of truth in advertising that we very rarely see in the Just S system. Eight. You recently had a judge in upstate New York contend that he was not qualified for jury duty because he thought that everybody that comes into court charged with a crime is guilty. Really? What happened to burden of proof here? Presumption of innocence. It's all out the window. And that's because you're in an administrative tribunal, not a common law judicial court. Now, to be sure, this bastard was actually forced to resign, but this is a lot of truth in advertising because any of you that have been in any other administrative tribunals know exactly what the hell I'm talking about. Doesn't matter what we do, how we do it, or anything else, unless you get in there with the issues that you're going to learn from me, common law issues. Send me an email, youwinnincourt@gmail.com, and that kicks up a real thunderstorm of trouble for them. Not the usual bullshit, equal protection of the law, due process, any of that 14th Amendment crap. Because if you don't know, and you're going to learn this, but the 14th Amendment, all they recognize are artificial corporate entities that don't have any rights the de facto national socialist government is bound to respect. And that's the problem. Presumed guilty, you have no way to put a defense on. Even worse, if that's possible, and you've been through school too, just like I was all these decades ago, they don't teach a damn thing about any of this. Especially now, I mean, school was much better back in the day when I was in 60 odd years ago outside of Washington, D.C. None of this transgender crap and all this was in there. And you actually did learn a little bit here and there, but not about the issues I'm talking about today. And that's what's important because knowing your rights, makes it possible for you to invoke your rights and maybe even get out of the administrative tribunal, intact. But what you also do, if need be, is you set an unopposed record in that quote unquote court, which is an executive agency, by the way, not a judicial court. So you're going to learn a lot about that. Send me an email, youwinnincourt@gmail.com. And what you learn about that is it's the U.S. Supreme Court saying it, not me. Case is called Collins v. Virginia, 6 Wheaton 264, 1821. Oh, that's old law. We don't use that anymore. The hell they don't. The current justices have quoted this case. They know exactly what I'm talking about. So when we get in there and present our rights secured by the Constitution, they're bound to take notice. It becomes an Article 3 judicial court. When we show up, you're going to learn more about that too, and that's exactly as it should be. Send me an email, youwinnincourt@gmail.com, and that's how we get out from under. Because there's no way, if those administrative tribunals exist at all they have that they can rule against are artificial corporate dead entities. And that's what they think you are, and all of us are. And that's a big reason, by the way, these law enforcement thugs can go around like they did the jail at Walker in Akron, Ohio, shoot him 48 times in the back during the course of an arrest for a traffic violation, which the court did not have jurisdiction, and not even get indicted for involuntary manslaughter, let alone first degree murder, for which they would be on death row right now. And that's the sort of thing that has to start happening here. And notice how conspicuously this is almost always white assailants and black victims, because New York banksters know as well as I do that they can't allow us to start working together. Asians, Africans, and Americans, that's going to beat them quicker than anything else. And no, you're not our political equals in our own nation and not a member of the sovereign body politic, which at the moment hasn't existed for 150, 160 years now. but you will have enforceable creator endowed inalienable rights. And that'll prevent this kind of crap from happening. So it's a big change, and all the changes for the better for all of us. And we get back to the government we're supposed to have, Republican form of government. We can make changes and do it right this time and not violate all 6 articles of the Constitution. To learn more, send me an email, unincourt@gmail.com. It's absolutely astounding. And I just wish I'd been taught this all those decades ago. I would have been doing this a hell of a lot earlier, but better late than never. And I just got a special gift here. And it's a lot more than memory, by the way. It's perspective, being able to connect a lot of dots and coming out to the right conclusions, just like the framers did back in the day. And that's what we want to get back to. And then when that happens, most of the government is now in sovereign, independent states, none of which currently exist and haven't existed since at least 5:01 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, July 28th, 1868. And we can prove it, and you'll be able to prove it by getting my documentary packets there. Send me an email, unincourt@gmail.com. And it's just astounding when you think about it. But this is the masterful job these New York bankers have been able to do by controlling our de facto national socialist government and keeping the truth out of the way so no one gets a clue what's going on here. Fortunately, the current justices know exactly what I'm talking about, and the Trump administration is acting a whole lot like it, especially with President Trump's very revealing executive order, on birthright uh, citizenship. And, that's what we have to use to get back to where we belong. And he knows, I think, as well as the justices do, when we get there, we have creator endowed inalienable rights. And by the way, since we can prove there are no states, you ready for this one? With no states, there's been no lawful electorate anywhere in sight and no lawful elections since November the 6th, 1860. Can you say consent of the governed? Where the hell is it? Oh, say, learn more, send me an email, unincourt@gmail.com. And it's my job to give you the same perspective that I have. It'll take a little while to get it, but my documents are really, really good in that regard. And plus, with my materials, you get complimentary phone consultations, complimentary document updates, a complimentary Zoom appearance at a court hearing, and now even a complimentary get appointed video from me to the perps, usually about 7 or 8 minutes, and telling them in no uncertain terms to stand down and leave you alone. And that's exactly what should be happening. And that's my life work I put into this. And I've been glad to do it. I've got a divine gift. I don't know how that happened. And divine good health to go along with it. My gosh, I'll be 77 years old later this year. And my health is just, it's astounding. I haven't had a doctor's visit in 40 years. Haven't had any serious medication since I got pneumonia in 1991. And I got some augmentin for that. That's going to get me later, maybe when I'm 95 or whatever. But I'm very blessed with that. And I was put here for a reason. And that reason is to help you, your children, and your posterity so we all have better lives. To learn more, send me an email, unincourt@gmail.com. Subscribe, tell your friends, get the word out. The quicker we act, the quicker we get these bastards off our backs. Thank you.